likes to wing projects. Yeah, I remember that. Go on.
I would say it's a mixture, but absolutely art as well. You need to color it for a.
You have to colour things in.
You have to, right? Especially for your clients.
We only had 3 pens where I work: red, amber, and green. Yeah. Anybody else tell me? Anyone going to? Oh, what's your name?
Bob.
Bob.
Yeah, I'd say anything. There's a saying about management is that anything management is more TV than sleep. Like you don't have management in nature. So I think like there's science behind project management. You get people who are better at that. Naturally, you kind of just have the gift of the gab or whatever. But I think the science of project management is, I would say, it's more science than art.
So we got a couple of arts down here, young lady. Bob says it's science. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd make your art circle smaller. I agree with Bob.
Right.
The data behind.
So we are 50-50 across the room here, aren't we? We'll be singing to each other shortly.
A fair bit of subjective stuff sometimes.
Now, the reason I've asked you this question, I often put this up when you come into a room to get people to start talking. But the idea of this is that I'm just going to ask you a simple question: is it art or is it science? Now, if I look at these things, the science part of it is where we take the data. We take data from lots of sources, or we view data through different lenses, and we take it from lots of sources, and with that we turn that data into information, and on that information we can then make decisions. Yeah, so you've got things like we do estimate at completion, estimate to completion, spend monitoring, simulation, what if, manage configurations, EVM, risk control, schedule, all this stuff, all this data, bags and bags of data. That's the science part of it. And if you come to the Project Con Expo that we have in November, normally just down the road at Wembley, there's lots of people trying to sell you tools to manage your data. If you buy this tool, it'll make your projects finish half as quick, quarter of the time, and last week. And you sit there listening to them going, whatever, yeah, okay. Well, how long's this one on for? And then the other part of it is the art, the softer skills, where you are setting up a new team, a set of people who've never worked before, and you're going to have to turn them into a winning team to develop. And that's where you've got to inspire people, you've got to identify and manage your stakeholders, you've got to do communications, you've got to deliver success, create a shared vision. So there's a balance between the two. And people often say, I go to some companies, they say, which one are you in? I don't know, don't shout at me. Which one do you want me to be in? Oh, we only want people who can do this. Oh, okay. Now, project management is both of these things. If you are fortunate enough to work in this, in the planning, monitoring and control, there's a lot of information that you do. And without the people that do that, we wouldn't know where we are, where we're going, or when we're going to get there. But if you're on this side of it, you've got to take that information and the new team, and you've got to try and develop them, inspire them, make them the best that they can be, and deliver at the same time. Someone once said to me, which is the easiest, and I was like, neither of them are easy. They've just got a different focus. So now we've had a little chat, let's have a look. Hey? Today, our world is changing faster than ever before. In fact, it's changing faster than our capability to learn it. As soon as we understand something, it's changed. Technology refreshes aren't over several years. I mean, I think these fancy phones are refreshed every September. Just as you understand how something works, it changes. Just as you understand the legislation and standards, they change. World is more complex. It really is more complex, and we're seeing and recognising black swans more often. Does everyone know what a black swan is? No, good. A black swan is written from a book. It's an Egyptian guy who was Taleb. Your name will come to him when I sit down. He wrote a book called Black Swans. And what he says in his book is really interesting. He says a black swan comes as a complete shock or surprise, genuinely to everybody. Yeah? Nobody saw it coming. And afterwards it has a major effect on how we live or how we work or how we act or behave. And then after it comes the things that let's rationalise it and let's see and try and make sense of why we didn't see it coming or where it came from. Can anyone tell me a black swan? We've all had a few in our lives recently. COVID was a black swan, absolutely. COVID changed the way that we communicate, the way that we behaved, and the way in which we had to try and get a solution to this terrible thing that was threatening humanity.
It changed my whole organisation because I work for St John Ambulance, so our priorities changed from being, you know, an ambulance provider and, you know, training and stuff to suddenly being COVID, you know, compliant, doing injections, supporting the Nightingale Hospital, all that stuff. So our whole business ethos had to change completely.
Yeah, and it changed for a lot of people. All of a sudden we got these new tools. Do you remember Zoom coming out? All of a sudden Zoom was worth more than Delta Airlines. Any other black swan? Don't need to put your hand up, shout out.
Well, I work in the property industry, so we had Grenfell, and we had to change a lot of our software to manage all of the government legislation that came out of that.
Yeah, that was a big one. Any others?
Manchester, the law that came out of Manchester meant that all emergency services had to do crack and cross.
Yeah.
So basically the whole industry had to start from scratch.
There's lots of things that we've talked about there, that things that happened and they're not very nice. The one I like to think of is Harry Potter. Right, now, and Harry Potter was the first time that both adults and children could read the same books and vied for each other. I remember queuing up outside of Sainsbury's when we were at Centre Parks, and I got there at 7:45 because they were releasing the books at 8 o'clock, and I was in a queue in the rain to buy this Harry Potter book. Madness. But Harry Potter really changed the way in which we read things, and even now my children's children are starting to read Harry Potter, you know. So yeah, black swans. The rules of engagement and business are constantly being turned upside down. I won't talk about somebody, but the way in which we work now, legislation changes. You are seeing companies rise and fall in months or years compared to a few years ago where they were operating for 20 or 30 years and got eaten up or amalgamated. Today, the things that we do, like these things here, videoing us and someone's dialing in from New Zealand, really changed the way in which we act. There would have been science fiction a few years ago. You think nothing now of having a FaceTime call with somebody in Australia who's in their pyjamas, and it's all okay. Customers expect more now, and they expect to pay less, and they expect it soon. It's a bit like that Billy Connolly video that's on YouTube. I want it yesterday, I want it half the price, and you give me some money. It's like that, dealing with people. They have an unrealistic expectation of what you can do, but it's been driven that way. No longer do we wait for a parcel to arrive. It comes the next day by a little man running down the drive. Whoa, all right, thanks. Failure, sadly, is no longer tolerated as part of learning. I'm not saying we've got to the Premier League football match now, but there seems to be a pointer that goes to the project manager when a project goes wrong that necessarily previously would have been part of, well, you've learned from this, let's move on. And vision and strategy for some companies and organisations last about as long as they take to communicate. And we're doing this and we're doing that. And no, we're not. No, we're not doing that. We're doing something else. And everyone's transforming. I go to some companies and they say, you're a transformation specialist. Sorry. And they say, transformation. We only deal in transforming. And I'm like, what, do you want Optimus Prime or something? What are you talking about? And people seem to mix up that you change your organisation. Now everyone's transforming. As you get through the door, it's just gone. It's transformed. And now, again, you probably realise this now, that we work more virtually and with global teams. In fact, you probably now have got to a point where you will not actually physically meet some of the people that you work with for a long time. And it's different. And our ways of working, living, viewing, purchasing, always evolving. Once upon a time, you got travel agent, get a load of books, get home, have a drink, pick somewhere, then your friend would say, I'd stay there, never stay there again. Now, you press a button, I can walk down the road. I can go and get the menu. I can see the hotel room that I'm in. I can walk in the shower. Fantastic. When you get there, it is a bit different, I will say. And things aren't slowing down anytime soon. So I want to talk a bit about, that's the world that we operate projects in. And projects are, you know, as we talk about them, they're unique. They've never happened before. They're temporary. They've got a beginning, a middle and an end and a reason for doing them. What about project success and failure? Do we really understand what that means? And so once upon a time we had our friend here. Do you remember this? The iron triangle. Very, very good at teaching. You can teach this if you draw a circle around the scope here and think it's like a foot pump. The more work you ask people to do, the bigger the triangle gets. So it costs more and you need to do more testing and it takes longer. And it's a very good concept right at the beginning. But is it really true today? Because today we have to deal with stakeholders, not customers, stakeholders. We have to engage with them and we have to make them happy. And we have a thing there, we are talking about constantly changing. No longer do we really ever go through a linear life cycle where all the requirements at the beginning are what you deliver at the end. In fact, it's very, very different. Always amazes me on the TV, that project, it's 5 years late and 10 times over budget. Yeah, but is it actually the same project that they begin with? Did they not change the scope 4 times over? So now we have to deal with relationships and we have to manage change. So now we've got 2 triangles above each other. And then there's a few things that have rolled the dice in recent years: sustainability, diversity, inclusivity, and we'll be having more of these until we've got like a pinwheel or something, or a pie chart. But let's move on. Look, success and failure is subjective. It really is subjective. And people say, well, success, yeah, you can tell when something's successful. It's successful, it's right. Well, it depends who you are. Different stakeholders look at things through different lenses, don't they? Some define success in different ways. Some say if it's on time and cost and meets the scope, fantastic. But what if it don't do what you wanted it to do? What if the benefits aren't realised? So you did all this hard work and then it was rubbish what you delivered. Nobody wants it. And we see this in defence quite often. Yeah. We delivered an amphibious vehicle that no human can sit in because it rattles you at like 100 hertz and you get out like a bag of bones. Or there are other things like the context, the market. Someone's beat you to the market. Your organisation is going in a different direction. And can you really define good? And then there's failure. Again, failure is subjective. What is failure? Well, you know, it wasn't on time to budget and whatnot, and we weren't happy with you. I mean, there is even a question in the APM thing that says, should you stop a project if the team aren't happy? In what world would you do that? But that's the answer. And I'm teaching people this. I'm going, well, you wouldn't stop the project. You'd take them out to pub or something. I don't know. And then we've got the external factors. We have regulatory change. We have cuts in budgets. We have leadership churn. And often the baseline isn't met because it was never, ever possible to meet it in the timescales. Yeah? So really, project success and failure are not absolutes. They're just perceptions based on people's perspectives, their time, and their context. Now, can failed projects succeed or can successful projects fail? Anybody got a view on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Which one? Both?
Failed project, I'd say the Millennium Dome.
Just hang on with the examples because I've got some in a minute. But yeah, Millennium Dome, Mr. Blair, yeah, made a dome. Yeah. There are, let's have a look, shall we? I've got a few of these. I didn't do the Millennium Dome. Sydney Opera House. Anyone been to Sydney Opera House? Yeah, beautiful place, isn't it? Coldplay played there, Elton's played there, the lot. It's not as good as where I live in Glastonbury, they play in a field. And Sydney Opera House is an architectural masterpiece. There it is, global icon. When you come in on the plane into Sydney, you can see it as soon as you get in. In fact, the guy at the front says, have a look out the window, there's Sydney Opera House. Yeah, original budget, $3.5 million. Yeah, it was a lot of money back in the 60s, that. The actual budget, actual spend was 102 million. It was 4 years in completion, but actually finished 10 years later, 14 years. Project success or failure?
Failure.
Failure, absolute failure. Benefits realisation, society benefits when project delivery. I think the APM said, wow, World Master, World Heritage Site. Concorde, great bird Concorde. Huge engineering feat to be able to take a passenger airline beyond the speed of sound. In fact, I went to see the show last week, the Live Aid show. You know, Phil Collins, he played in London, didn't he? I think Can't Hurry Love, and then he ran off in a taxi and he got on the Concorde and then he appeared at Philadelphia, didn't he? Fantastic bird. Yeah, beautiful. Original budget, 70 million. Actual budget, 2.1 billion. Success, a project? Yeah, success as a project, anyone? Not really, no. Success as a platform, as a service? Well, when they built it, the lack of demand came around. It's expensive. These things stretch nearly a foot when they're at full throttle. It's expensive to maintain. And then all of a sudden the environmental issues popped up, and a lot of people didn't like you hitting the sonic boom going across their houses. It shatters windows. So all of a sudden it was restrictions over land. It couldn't really fly. It was all right going across the pond to America. It was all right going down to the Middle East, but most people wouldn't want you flying across Europe. So I'm sorry, Concorde, you didn't really hit either. The Channel Tunnel, huge engineering success. Made the UK part of Europe. Oh, don't say that these days, do we, with fromage? Technical and strategic success? Yes. Financial and project? Absolute failure. Original budget, £5.5 billion. The actual spend at the end was £9 billion, but because they had to borrow it from banks, it was near £15 billion, a year late. And in the time they were building it, the emergence of cheap air travel came around. Overestimate passenger numbers. Some people just don't like going in a tube under the water. Yeah, and it had a complex financial model and a much more complex organisation. Heaven's Gate. Has anyone heard of Heaven's Gate? Anyone heard of The Deer Hunter? 1978 film, Michael Cimino. What's it about? What's the film about? Vietnam War, yeah. Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep. Won loads of Oscars, yeah. 3-hour film, fantastic film. Even the music won an Oscar, yeah. And they decided to follow up with it with a film called Heaven's Gate. And Heaven's Gate was meant to be a visionary film. It's now considered a masterpiece. Not sure why. The lead in it was Chris Christopherson. It was about landowners at the turn of the 20th century in America. Chris Christopherson, much more noted for being a country and western singer. And it didn't have the high impact. But they had an original budget of $11.5 million. Going back to the 70s here, they spent 44. They had a 4-month schedule to shoot it. It took them a year, and they shot 1.3 million feet of film. The original film, when it came out, was 5.5 hours, right? You would definitely get a numb bum in one of these films. They would have to have a break or something. It flopped at the box office. They cut it down to 3.5 hours, yeah? And re-released it. United Artists Studio went bankrupt. There's even a book about it called The Final Cut. Now, bizarrely, today, one of the biggest shows on streaming services is about a very similar thing called Yellowstone, and 1852. So it's just bizarre. Maybe it was just at the wrong time. And our last one is our special one for that little fella, Boris Johnson. What a charmer. Boris Johnson decided when he was mayor of London that they were going to build the Garden Gate Bridge. The Garden Gate Bridge wasn't going to be a bridge. It was going to be a set of gardens that you walk through. And they did all of this work. They spent £53.5 million and never put a spade in the ground. What did they deliver? Well, there's a few pictures of it knocking around like this, but Garden Gate Bridge. So, success or failure for projects. Now, when we embark on a project, as all of you do in this room here, we are expected to be able to say whether the project is going to meet its needs. Is it going to be delivered on time? Is it going to meet the scope? Is it going to meet the cost? Is it going to work? Is it going to have the quality? Will it realise the benefits for the end users? And our way of doing this is to create a massive integrated plan with an organisational breakdown structure, RAM and a RACI, a set of requirements that it takes us months to agree, a schedule which has got resources in there and milestones and the payment plan maps across to it, a risk and dependency issues log, work breakdown structure, project breakdown structure, cost breakdown, and it goes on and on and on. And then we decide that we're going to look at the complexity of the project. The complexity of the project and what type of project it is. We're going to use things like System thinking. We're going to use a 4-box model to deliver it. Why wouldn't we use a 4-box model? There's loads of them knocking around. We're going to use best management tools. We're going to have Gantt charts, critical path. We could even look at critical chain if anyone ever understood what it actually does. And then we'll have a load of frameworks and life cycle gateways. We'll have risk. And then we'll educate everybody. And when we've done all that, it will all work. And once a month, we will give you a bumper pack like this. And from this bumper pack, you will know whether the project's on track or not. Normally, we release these about 6 o'clock the day before, and they're about 50 pages long, and you get them and you're like, what is this? What's it all about? And this slide's called A Fool with a Tool, because a fool with a tool is still a fool. And we do this. And then we convince ourselves from all this data, maybe because we're scared, that in actual fact, it's on track, it's on track. Because we don't know. Because we've got all these different ways of measuring performance. Well, why do we do it that way? Has anyone come across this? Has anyone come across vast documents like this that are dropped on your desk? We used to cut down trees, now we send them electronically. Anyone seen these?
Yeah, plenty of them.
Yeah, plenty of them. And what do you do with them?
Scan, read it, and then go, is it red, green or amber? Oh, green. Excellent. Let's move on.
Thank you. Yeah. That's the logical thought that goes through most people's mind. And if you go to the review, you don't really want to raise anything, do you? Because everyone's done the same as you. Because there's another one after it. Now, we've talked about the tools there, and that's the science part of it. I often talk about leadership, and I'm not going to talk about leadership and ask you to pick a good leader today. I'll tell you mine. Purely and simply because a couple of days ago somebody said someone else and it started a fight in the room. You can guess who he said. He was on his way to somewhere called, is it Davos? So I'll not talk about who is leadership. I'm just going to say there's also the leadership element of projects that can lead to success and failure. And sometimes you get leaders of projects who really maybe shouldn't have took the role, or should have said, sorry, I need someone to help me. This is true. This is a young lady called Elle Stevenson. And she appeared, I think it was on the 11th apprenticeship series. And this is what she said. And it's always struck me as funny, right? Because after somebody points this out, how many people have ever seen someone say something like this or behave just like this? Yeah. So there's a leadership aspect to success and failure. And she still walks this earth, as Elle Stevenson. I don't ever know what happened to her. But there are lots of people actually could put that statement towards. Okay, so let's have a little look then. When we get these big bumper packs, and you're, sorry, what your name is?
Russell.
Russell's just looking for green, aren't you? If it's green, he's left the scene, and yeah, he's off. So Russell can do our first one here, because what I say is, when we get these bumper packs, do we all see the same thing? Do we all recognise the same things, or are we simply looking for something that jumps out of us? If it's red, it's dead. That means we've got to get involved. Can we really read a risk register of 20 pages? Can we look at all these charts? So Russell, which line is the longest?
Trick question, I think neither. Right.
Well, someone once said to me they're not lines. I was like, well, they are. They were when I put it in this morning. Anyone tell me which one's the longest? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, both the same, eh?
Yeah. That's why I said neither, yeah, they're both the same.
They're both the same. Good answer, they are. Now you think I'm going to trick you all the time. What does anybody see here?
Old and a young woman. Yeah.
Yeah. At first sight, you think it's a young lady looking back that way with a choker. On second sight, you think it's an old lady looking down here, and here's her mouth. You all right? You got it? You're looking good, yeah. Come closer. Come and sit down here with me if you. I did have a guy I was teaching the other day, and he kept arguing. I was just telling you before, and he kept arguing with me, and I was like. And at the end of it, I went to see him. I said, "Why do you keep arguing with me?" And he said, "Well, I can't see the slide, so I have to ask you." I was like, "Well, why didn't you sit at the front then?" You know. So another definition here. Then, what do you see?
Duck or a rabbit.
Rabbits or ducks? Rabbits or ducks? Yeah, rabbits or ducks. And the last one, a bit more difficult to see here.
With the two guitar, with the guitar.
Two guitars, Lily and Lady.
Goblet in the middle.
Doorway.
Oh, there's like two people.
There's 2 people.
There's plenty of people.
Suffice to say, there's a lot going on there.
There is an older couple who are looking into each other's eyes. Yeah? Or there are 2 people wearing sombreros, one with a guitar here and someone's shouting out the door, your tea's ready, come in. But there are 2 things. Now, the point I'm trying to make here, and I can get better pictures than this, but I don't want you to look at these that come out the screen and things like that. But essentially, my question is because people see different things when they read something, can this actually tell us where the project is? Do we all read the same thing? And as you've just greatly pointed out, you do what 99.9% of everybody does. You will scout, they will arrive late, they will be big, there will be half a dozen of them, maybe a dozen of them, and that you'll scan them and you'll just see what has happened. And if it's green, you'll move on. Now, that's all right, it's okay, yeah. But what happens when we do this? Well, many factors contribute to project failure. And at the moment, and in most of the organisations you go to visit, they will identify early warning signs or potential problems in projects by a set of reviews. Your monthly reviews, yeah, every month you produce a bumper pack, stage gates, life cycle gates, go, no-go gates, whatever you call them. We have audits, we have multiple lenses that we can look through this. We'll have a risk review every single week. And these are useful in identifying early warning signs connected to lagging indicators, things that have happened, yeah? But they won't tell you about the future. They won't tell you what's going to happen next. They are yesterday's news. And the greater the complexity of the project, the more parts that you're having delivered, the more risk, the more uncertainty or ambiguity, the less useful these reviews come, because they become so data-driven that they're open to interpretation. Would you agree with that? And therefore, we also get to a point, and where Russell said is it's green, we get groupthink, where I don't want to stand up in the review and say, I think you're late, because none of the data tells me that you're late. And then everyone will jump on me, so we'll all agree, what a good project that is. You're really doing well though, well done, carry on the good work. And you get some people who think, oh, that's a good project, everything's on track here. But what if you just put this bumper pack down? What if you just left it there and you use the skills that you have honed since you're a toddler? And that is your ability to look and to listen. And as a project professional for the projects that you've been on, bit by bit, you get more of that, I won't say spider sense, but that gut instinct about something is not quite right here. Something's not, there's something bugging me, and I'm going to have another think about this. And we should look at the people and their behaviour as a key early warning sign, not the big bumper pack. The body language, their behaviours, the look and the feel of the team can often be the windows into their feelings and emotions. And this is where we get the subliminal or the human early warning signs really provide us with an insight, yeah? So look at the team, yeah? Look at the team. They're very quiet. They're not talking. And then that song comes into my head. Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Now, the sound of silence. When you go to a project and you see the people looking at the floor like this, leaning back like this, nowadays playing on the phone, but you normally tell them to stop doing that, and they are not engaged, you start to think that actually there is something amiss here. Perhaps there is something going on here, and the pack's not telling me this. If they have a loss of a sense of humour, or, and the key thing is, if the simple tasks that they do each week they start to miss, forget to clock in, forget to do their expenses, yeah? Forget to log out and things like that. All of these are signs that something's going on. If they're late, if they've got a lack of opinions, if they look war weary or you feel that they're running on empty, there's something going on in the project. And the sound of silence is the loudest noise that you can't hear that something is going wrong. And it's a real leading indicator of current and future failures, not past, current and future failures. The team members are always aware of the threats. If you ever do what I do, and I think you said you wanted to be a consultant, you just go often into an organisation and sit down and say what's wrong, and they'll tell you. And then you write a nice report and goodbye. Because what happens in a lot of organisations, if people have been trying but they've been pushed back, so they go silent, or they're afraid or unwilling to speak out, because people tell them to shut up. Don't you go in that meeting and say anything today. All right, let's see how it goes. Well, we need the help, you know. We need to tell the sponsor. No. Yeah? People deliver projects, not your AI, not your fancy tools, not your computers that can do this, that and the other. When people aren't speaking, they really are shouting to be heard. And honestly, you can go to a lot of projects and just sit there and look at the team, and you'll realise if it's working well or not. There are 5 simple conversations to have. Put aside, switch your laptop off, pick up a piece of paper and a pen. Oh, we're going old school here. I did want to run a training course, you know. Like, guy turned up with a big printout like that. He goes, I haven't brought me pen. I haven't got a pen. I never take a pen to work. I've got my laptop. I was like, well, okay. Put it all away, shut the lids. Let's talk. 5 conversations we should have, yeah? And this will identify issues, prevent failures, and help future success. Called 5 Crucial Conversations, well documented, comes out of Harvard this. First question to ask the team, are you actually planning around the facts? Do you understand the scope, what you've got to deliver? Now that's not hard, is it? You'll either get a yes and a no, or you'll get a further conversation where we keep having lots of change here and I don't really understand what we want to do. The deadlines, do you think we can meet them? Do you know what they are? Well, they keep changing them. What are our performance indicators? Do you know what budget you've got for this? What have you spent? What budget you've got left? Have you got the skills and the knowledge in the team to deliver this? What is success criteria? What is it that we're driving to? And what are the benefits? All you have to do, and you can add to this isn't a list, I've added a few here. Are you planning around the facts for your project? Simple question. Don't need a big bumper pack. Next one. Is the sponsor providing support? How many people here know who their sponsor is? Does anyone not know who their sponsor is for the project? Because sometimes you go to places and you say, is your sponsor helping you out? Who? Do you know who it is? No. Often you get the absent sponsor, or worse than that, you get the narcissistic sponsor who just wants to wear it as a badge but do no work. But you have to say, you know, can you identify who they are? Are they giving you the right leadership, the support, or have they gone AWOL? They're meant to be senior people with clout who can help you, who are responsible for the business case and delivering the benefits. And you'd be surprised how often you get there and say, I don't know who it is. You just talk to people, who's your sponsor? I don't know. And then you tell them, you say, never heard of them. Are we faithful to the process? Have we actually got our roles and responsibilities identified? Do you know what you're actually here to do? Do you know what your job is? Do you know what you got? Because often that's not clear. What's the governance regime on this? How do we manage change? Have we got scope creep? Well, we have, yeah. Oh, have you got that? Oh, well, they have a meeting with so-and-so and they come back and they say, we're changing this. Do you document it anywhere? Well, no, we've got 3 versions of the project plan at the moment and 2 versions of the schedule. Right, are you faithful to your process? Do you know your budget and how you're spending it? And what are your resource reductions? You know, where are people going? He said, sometimes we come in on a Monday and so-and-so left the project on Friday. Well, where have they gone? I don't know. So are you faithful to the process? Are you honestly assessing your progress and risks realistically? Are you reporting risks? Or is this happy day reporting? Is it happy day reporting where you are, Russell?
Yeah, quite often.
Yeah. Happy day reporting. Green across the screen. Won't ask me any questions. Got away for it another month. Keep running. Or are we in a standoff situation where we're not actually going to say we've got a problem? because we're in a Mexican shootout. Who blinks first? Our guns are trained on each other and we're just going to see if the other party will blink first. Do we have our status reviews? Do they actually add any value? Or are we constantly in a phase of constantly rebaselining so no real person knows where we are? And the last one, are the team members pulling their weight? Are the basics missing? Do they have the skills that they need to do that? Is somebody helping them? Are they contributing? Are they laughing? Are they stressed? Are they meeting the deadlines? Or are we constantly trying to work around? 5 simple questions. Failure in any of these will damage the project, may even damage your overall project and severely affect your business case. The 5 crucial conversations, the idea to unlock hidden feelings and thoughts that many people feel uncomfortable about talking in open forums. Now, it's not easy to do this. If it was, we would all do it. How do you do it? How do you encourage it? Well, first of all, help people speak up. There are lots of times where the best answers are ignored because people are scared of speaking up. I mean, I think it's better today. When I wore a younger man's clothes, you went to meetings and you were expected not to speak. And people would quite rudely say to you, what do you know? Yeah? I did remember a time when people would say to certain people, are you making a brew? In a meeting, and you'd be like, today we are a lot better than that. We're a lot more diverse, but it does still need pushing and prodding along the way. Candid dialogue about preventing delivery. Everybody should have a voice in a meeting. Some of the best ideas come out of those earlier in their career. Measure what matters. We have bumper packs of measuring everything, dials and clocks and graphs and green and blue and red, amber, and someone's introduced purple because that's the offshore side of it. What are we talking about here? Make it easy, lower the hurdle for speaking up. If you have to, go around the room and say, just stop. Sorry, can you just tell me, what do you think of that? Just do it like, let's have a moment. And set up informal get-togethers so that they can do this. And make it safe. And also run Chatham House rules. Let's talk about making it safe first of all, speaking truth to power. Trust needs to be earned and can be easily lost, but you want to make it such that people can float ideas and that they can say, we're having difficulty with this supplier and I'm not getting any headway. Can someone please come and help me? It's not seen as a sign of failure or weakness, it's seen as a sign of being part of a team. If you take yourself through Tuckman's and you're performing, you need everybody together pushing in the right direction. And the last one, influence this by teaching. Teach skills for holding these crucial conversations. But it takes time. And sometimes you might get it wrong. Sometimes it might be that you don't know the person or the person has got something challenging outside of work. But keep going, this won't happen. Now, always try and finish on a high. Somebody once told me when I was learning how to do presentations, this is how to beat all the review systems. If you want to take a picture of this, this is how to get round it. Boom. Jive talking. You remember the song by the Bee Gees? Jive talking, yeah? Jive talking is what some project managers do when they're in difficulty. They start talking about new opportunities with the customer. We can win this new piece of work off them. We can get more money and look at the things here. And because the senior people are always looking for a way to bolster their bonuses, they will be on you like a rash. Well, let's get involved. And they stop talking about the project in the review and they start talking about this next opportunity. You bought yourself a month. You might get yourself 3 or 4 months out of this. Set in stone. Now this was one, this is a serious one. And many moons ago, there was a project just down the road from here and it kept failing to hit its milestones, but it kept having all future milestones were on track. And then it'd get within a few days of the next one and it would miss the next one. And they asked me to go and have a look at this. And what this individual had done, he'd gone into his Microsoft project plan and he'd hard-coded all the tasks, all the milestones, hard-coded them. So if you were running late, it didn't flex, it held the date. So when you extrapolated out into a table of your milestones, they're all on track, yeah? So you flex, and you can buy loads of time with this. You can buy to the end of the project. That's just a problem, that, yeah. Hard-coded his milestones in MSP. Buy now, pay later. This is a serious one now, yeah. We're not in the world of going to get a new telly, but this is where one project I was working on took the delivery of the item generated the value of it in their earned value system and left the money in their estimate to complete line, didn't drop it into accrued or committed. So all of a sudden your EV goes through the roof because you've just had a delivery, but you haven't paid for it. And then what they did was they paid it when the invoice was paid. So they then reduced their budget, their ETC, into their spend 90 days later. Well, can you imagine what that does to your earned value? Your earned value, you've just took in a major item of 6 months worth of work. Your earned value goes up, but you've still got the same budget. You haven't spent it yet. And then 3 months later, your budget goes up to assume that, but another delivery's come in. I remember sitting this review, we had a director, I call him Brilliant Brian. He's in one of my presentations on my website, and he was saying, this is how you run projects well. And I was sat there thinking, either they put 3 times the budget in here or something's wrong. And it took me a month or so to figure out what they were actually doing. They were claiming value, but not actually spending the money at the point of delivery. Buy now, pay later. Project chicken. This is always a good one. Project chicken. Don't admit there's any problems. Wait for someone else. Hold your nerve. Yeah. Just sit around and wait. Yeah. You can get quite a long way with this one. Red is dead. Do you agree with that, Russell? Red is dead. Always remain at amber, citing a return to green plan. It's underway. You've every confidence it'll work. Don't go red. It'll mean there's blood in the water and it could be yours. Risky business, not the Tom Cruise film. Reduce your risk, citing that mitigations are working, and then drop the money into your project. Shows you're in control of the risk, the mitigation's working, and the project's on track. There's loads of projects that do that. They reduce their risk budget, don't release it anywhere, put it into their work packages. Shuffle. Now this is a good one. Hold your estimate at completion and move monies between resources and activities to blur the performance. Reduce some, increase others, and say it's a better understanding of the scope or work, or the work remaining. Or you could even say it's rolling wave planning. Yeah, do that. Drip in tap. This is a good one. Constant lateness, overruns, little here, little there. Blame it on the estimating or variation. Or because it's a big project, it's just the rounding issues that you're seeing here and there. Agile, say it's part of the agile process, because no one understands it, do they? Let's be honest with you. Well, why wouldn't you? This is just standard agile. This is what we get with agile. Changes. Constantly in a change, re-baselining, blur performance, blame the speed of the CCB, the internal process. I mean, this is a given. You've got to do this, haven't you? And then the last one are some excuses. If it gets close, start running excuses. Resources. They never came when they said they were coming. The people that we've got, they've got to be trained. It's taken us 6 weeks for them to get up to speed. No wonder we can't run this project. Reorganisation, and that great word transformation. We've changed the organisation, the sponsors changed. We have to do it a different way with them now. We have to arm's length trading. And then there's the last one, supply chain. I mean, this is a gift that keeps on giving us, and let's be honest, it's all in the supply chain. I don't know who picked these suppliers. I'd never work with them again. And the last one, once again, is our friend the Mexican shootout. We're in dialogue with our suppliers. We can't come to an agreement. We've got a meeting in 3 weeks' time with them on this subject. Right. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, because that's my last slide. Any questions? You can't be quiet. I've done all talking now. I just need a drink. It's your turn to ask me something, or tell me what a load of rubbish this is. You speak up. You don't need to put your hand up when I... No.
What's the favourite industry you've worked in when it comes to projects?
The favourite? Yeah. None of them. I worked in the government once, and I thought that was great because we never ever agreed anything. We went to have meetings with people, and we'd get there, we'd all have a nice chat and whatnot, have some biscuits, and then come away. we were moving the IT system from one building to another while they refurbed it, and we had 9 meetings about should we take the door to the IT system and put it in the other building, or should we buy a new door? And I had a young lady work with me. She was great. She was helping me out. She was learning project management. This bloody meetings about this bloody door. Can't they just buy one? I said, let it be, this is the process. So yeah, which is my favourite. I like, when we worked in defence, when the products were delivered, you stood back and you thought, wow, when we just created something that could fly twice the speed of sound and pick off something beyond the Earth's curvature.